Hello, I'm Catherine Shirey, a current graduate student at the University of West Georgia, and today I'm going to be discussing the historical impact of the Carl D. Perkins Act. Now, before we get to the meat of the act, we really need to know a little bit about the man behind it. He was born in 1912 in Hyndman, Kentucky. In 1949, he became the Democratic representative from the 7th Congressional District until his death in 1984. During this time, he served on the House Education and Labor Committee, which allowed him to give a voice in Congress to aid education and relief for those living in poverty. It was said that Carl D. Perkins was a man totally dedicated to his goal of placing quality education at the post-secondary level within the reach of every citizen who had the desire and ability to seize it. Because of this dedication, the National Direct Student Loan Program was renamed the Perkins Loan to honor his contributions to education. In October of 1984, the Carl D. Perkins Vocational Act was established to amend the Vocational Education Act of 1963. And this amendment was needed because the current vocational programs lacked adequate equipment and materials for the classroom, as well as preparation for the teachers to teach disadvantaged students. Now, the Carl D. Perkins Vocational Act of 1984 was established to strengthen and expand the economic basis of the nation, develop human resources, reduce structural unemployment, and improve productivity and strengthen the nation's defense capabilities by assisting the states to expand, improve, and update a high-quality program in the vocational education. They did this by encouraging growth and development of the vocational programs. The act was able to help meet the demand of the existing and future workforce. Improvement of the modernization of programs helped adequately teach vocational skills that would in turn stimulate productivity and economic growth as a whole. This act also focused on providing vocational education to those that were inadequately served, such as those with disabilities, students considered non-traditional, such as women in welding or boys in nursing, and adult vocational training, single parents, ESL, and incarcerated individuals. This act also helped reduce the gender stereotypes in occupation, job skills, competency, and careers. This act would give a specific amount of money allotted to each area of vocational education that was needed for resources for each program. Now, in 1990, the Carl D. Perkins Act and the Applied Technology Act were amended. They were amended and signed by George H.W. Bush in 1990. The amendment of this act put an emphasis on accountability and improvement by requiring states to develop a system of performance and standards and measures for secondary and post-secondary vocational education programs. States were required to include leadership activities and teacher training, curriculum development, and program assistance. The act also emphasized a cohort sequence of courses that began in high school vocational programs and continues to post-secondary institutions, in order to provide students with a higher technical skill and provide cooperative academic links between high school and secondary schools. This link ultimately provides an opportunity for students to easily assimilate into secondary schools to further their knowledge and skills in the career and technical area. The Carl D. Perkins Vocational and Technical Education Act of 1998. This further aligned the high school courses with secondary courses and post-secondary education and expanded upon academic integration. No longer was a construction class just a wood shop class. They had to have an academic component as well. And reserved funds were established at the state level, and states were authorized to modify so that 85% of the Perkins funds would reach local agencies. Standards were to be more academically challenged, and the professional development and technical assistance would be provided to help improve the Vocational and Technical Education Act's services and activities. This is when the Act really started to take a turn from the traditional VOTEC classes to more of the career pathways. The curriculum had to have more academic basis and more rigor. Now, in 2006, the Carl D. Perkins Act was amended again to further require the development of challenging academic and technical standards. This actually promoted a rigorous career instruction to link high school career to technical programs in a post-secondary institution, but it also increased the local flexibility to where we, as a local school district, could decide what programs were needed for our economic growth and workforce. The national research was also then conducted and disseminated to improve the career instruction and technical assistance, which was provided for professional development. The act was meant to improve the quality of career educators and support the partnerships among the secondary, post-secondary, universities, technical schools, local workforces, and businesses and industry. This is when the work-based learning program became around and got a lot more strenuous with the requirements of local employers being a partner with the school and not just a place for students to go work when they got out of school. Now, in 2018 is the most recent amendment to the Act, and it was signed by Donald Trump in July of 2018. It's also known as the Perkins 5, and it represents an important opportunity to expand opportunities for every student to explore, choose, and follow career and technical education program of study and career path to earn credentials of value, with an emphasis with students with disabilities, work-based learning placements, and extending CTE opportunities to the middle school education. This was a bipartisan measure, reauthorized the Carl D. Perkins Career Act, and continued the Congress commitment to providing nearly $1.3 billion annually for career and technical educations for our youth and our adults. Career and technical education has grown by leaps and bounds through the Carl D. Perkins Act and Carl D. Perkins Career and Technical Education Act. The CTAE programs became more easily accessible to students of all genders, disabilities, and disadvantages. The educators were provided with resources that allowed them to make businesses and industry connections alongside learning gainful knowledge on updates in their industry. Programs were required to improve their curriculum, materials, and equipment to provide students with the necessary hands-on training in their program of study. The standards were aligned to provide as secondary and post-secondary institutions to allow for students to transition from the high school level and into the programs that further their skill and knowledge that they have obtained. Overall, the CTAE programs in general have much to thank to the Perkins Act as it continues to improve and provide for our programs today. Thank you.